Hi, and thank you very much for joining us. Really excited today to be with Sam Petter from Children Who Inspired by Yoga. Honestly, you've got such a big empire, haven't you, with your brand? It's really exciting all the ways that you work with different age groups, and of course, our database of teachers teach across multiple ages and also abilities. And so it's great to have a chat with you today about your business and what inspired you. And I know that you are a person with huge drive and ambition. And I just wanted to touch on, to start with, the swimming that you do. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Because that is so impressive.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that. So I guess it's reflected in my business that I've always loved movement and just moving for the joy of it. And I was never really like a competitive sports person as a child, but I am a competitive person. When I had kids, I was putting them through the competitive ringer, driving them to tennis and swimming. And then I realized I was doing it for myself, really. So I started swimming masters, and that completely took away me putting the competitive emphasis on my kids, which I thought was really healthy. And for me, it's been an amazing fulfillment. And I've ended up competing in world championships and Europeans. And I think that it's the message in that really is that you're never too old to make a change. And I think it's kind of, we all have our time, don't we? So we sort of expect that children are going to be really successful and ready cooked by the time they leave school. But some of us, we take a bit longer to come to the boil. And I think that's inspiring for kids as well. It's like, you've got time, and, you just got to go at your own pace. And so, yeah. And also it's fulfilled that need in me rather than channeling it through my kids, which I think has been a good thing. So I'm the one bringing home the medals, not them, which makes me happy.
I think it's very it's very fulfilling. When I read that about you, and I thought, this just goes to show, I mean, you are managing all these different business elements under this one umbrella, but you were also doing something for yourself, but doing something for yourself at a high level as well. And I just thought I'd love to find out a bit about that. And that's great to hear, because I think as teachers, we sacrifice a lot for the classroom. I mean, I have conversations with teachers every day that are saying, oh, I'd love to get my Saturdays back, or I'd love to get my Sundays back, or my evenings. And I think this is why I love franchising, because it's a way to tick that box and basically be in the classroom still with children, but do it for yourself. And I think you've combined the two perfectly, haven't you?
Well, I think I realized my very first job was when I was like 15, and I got sacked from that job. And I thought I was doing a good job. Whether I was or I wasn't, it didn't really matter. I realized that I didn't have any power or any control. And in fact, time was my asset. And I think that's a message that I give to kids now. I talk at careers fairs and things. And so time is your main currency, and how you spend it is really important. And I just felt like all the time I have a job, I'm never actually going to be in control of that time. And then people can sack me, or, they can do whatever they want with me. And that just didn't feel right. So I kind of even swore then at an early age that I was never really going to have a job, because I just couldn't guarantee what was going to happen. So I know that there's a theory that some jobs are secure and you've got, a path. It's not always the case, is it? I think we kind of realize that more and more. So I think there's three main ways that you can spend your time. You can work for someone else, and that provides a little bit of security, paid holidays, a regular salary, and a structure within which to work. Then you can be freelance, which is what happened to me. I became a freelance graphic designer. And again, it was like, well, this is good, this is better, but I still can't get paid while I'm doing the things I really love. So, I really like do a lot of art. I love my sport. I just like, basically being in control. So freelance wasn't really working either. And then I just thought, you know what, maybe there's another way. Running my own business actually could provide me with what we call a passive income. So that's basically where you're earning money, but you're not there yourself physically. And so franchising, as a franchisor, which I kind of fell into, and I really didn't like the word franchising, by the way. I almost feel like it should have a different name, because it implies something to me that I don't recognize. So it implies a kind of corporate structure, like obeying the rules, all of that, which is very alien to me. So I've always had a slight problem with that. But I love the model, and I love the model of collaboration. So for time poor women who have amazing skill sets, that we can share our resources and share our know-how and take shortcuts to get where we want to be, building on everyone else's experience. And that's really why the model of franchising is such a powerful model for women, especially women who have so many different balls to juggle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right. The way that it sounds is so corporate, isn't it? But every time I speak to a franchisor, they talk about the community and the family. And I've come to realize that myself. I was saying to you earlier that actually building this community and us all sharing these different ideas to help teachers make informed choices, whether that's, you know, a yoga franchise, or whether that's an art or a tutoring one, you know, there's various different options. But you are like a big family, aren't you? You share and you communicate and you have socials, and there's a lot going on, isn't there? That you're not just kind of on your own setting up a business as part of a brand.
Definitely, and crucially, you're not in competition. So a lot of businesses, you know, you might be, well, for example, when I started, I was a baby yoga teacher, and there could be any number of baby yoga teachers in my area. So it always felt like I was a little bit protective over what I was doing, and I didn't want to share too much. Whereas with a franchise, typically you get a dedicated geographical zone that's yours. So nobody else with your brand is working in that area. So there might be other activity providers and people to network and, you know, join up with, but you're doing your thing in your area. So you have a bit of protection now. And I feel like that takes away a bit of the fear as well. So then, yeah, as a community, we come together and everyone in our network teaches the same story every week. So you can say, oh, anyone got any good ideas for this? Or what did you do with this? And, you know, and so, yes, definitely there's a lot of support there that comes from outside the head office.
Yeah, that's nice. But they get to do it in their own way as well if they want to, which is really nice, isn't it? That sort of autonomy.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, that flexibility. I mean, for us, we have the brand and we have the stories and the program and the concept, but there's a lot of opportunity to do it your way, building on your skill set. So we have quite a lot of teachers, but we also have, I don't know, all sorts of people who've worked in business or who haven't, or like we've had dancers, lots of different backgrounds. And so you draw on your skill set so you can make it your own, and that feels like your little business then. But you've kind of taken a shortcut, bearing in mind it's taken us 20 years to get to this point. You're just walking in and picking it up without all the pain of having to, you know, set up your own business and try it and test it and make mistakes. It's already been done.
Yeah, I think that's really important, isn't it, for teachers as well to know, because they've left something so established to then go into something that also is established and has a great reputation, and it's a brand that's recognized up and down the country as well. And you work with lots of different age groups, don't you? It's not just you know, babies, as you mentioned. Tell me about all your different strands.
Well, we started with Tatty Bumpkin, which is ages 3 to kind of 7, and that was our core age. And the reason I started with that at the time was that no one was really doing that age range. It's kind of the danger zone, isn't it? Especially the 2-year-olds. And so Tatty Bumpkin's our core product, and we work mainly in nurseries and preschools. And then we added Baby Bumpkin when we could see the program was working. So that's 0 to 2, and that's more with parent and children, but still quite a lot actually in nurseries. So that extends your kind of offering. And now just before COVID, we launched Tatty Guru, which is 8 to 11. So that's in primary schools. And they're different. The Tatty Bumpkin and the Baby Bumpkin are multi-sensory and use music stories, props to inspire the children. And we've got a very strong developmental emphasis on that program, really working on how to engage children at that just right level using the vestibular and the proprioceptive sense, and like quite a lot of developmental theory. And then Tatty Guru is more linked to curriculum and topics and uses more yoga. So it might come as a surprise to people to know that although yoga is our focus, you don't have to have any yoga experience. We're inspired by the core principles of yoga and well-being.
Yeah, fantastic. And you mentioned about this passive income. So how can we take on a franchise and reap the benefits of some passive income? How does that work?
So, for example, some of our franchisees don't even live in the country or live in the areas they work. And I manage, say, a territory in Edinburgh. So typically how that looks is you take on the franchise, and for a lot of people, especially teachers, they still want to have hands-on teaching. So you can teach as many classes as you want, but you only have really, like, say, 5 hours in the day. And if you then take on self-employed teachers, then you have, suppose you have 2 teachers, then you have the potential of 15 hours in the day. So you can really scale up the opportunity and your income without having to put in any more time yourself. And then for some franchises, they operate with 3 or 4 teachers and don't do so much teaching anymore. And I manage Edinburgh, so I have 2 teachers up there running all the classes. So I'm not actually there. It becomes more of a management kind of role, you know. So I think that's the nice thing, is lots of flexibility. And if you want to be away in the summer, then working with private nurseries is a route, because they stay open all year and you can keep your teachers working. So if you've got teachers who don't have kids or, you know, students, they can carry on the classes whilst you're away.
Yeah, I really like this model, because I think a lot of teachers are quite ambitious, but there are limited sort of senior leader positions within a school, and quite often teachers don't move on. So, you know, if you go into teaching and you're quite sort of hungry to climb the ladder and maybe build up a team, it's harder to do. And so with your business model, you can actually do that, can't you? You can actually build this team and line manage them and you know, create benefits and flexibility, like you said.
And it's obviously, you know, people are the hardest part of any job, finding the right people. So I'm not going to pretend it's easy to find the right people, but when you do, and I've got a few students and people like that, they are just amazing, and they really value that they're getting paid more than what they would be paid anywhere else. And they like the flexibility too. So then it becomes really hands-off. I spend maybe 2 hours a month on Edinburgh, because I've got a great independent teacher who likes being independent, and she's just running the classes, and then we're typically taking 50% and they're taking 50% of the revenue. And then, and so it's kind of finding the right fit, isn't it? Like for anything, you just have to be really honest about the expectations and pitfalls and, you know, what you're looking for, and keeping the lines of communication open as always, you know, and checking in, making sure they're happy. And so it is all about communication, isn't it? Anything at the end of the day. And I think that when we sell a franchise, we are very clear from the beginning, this is the start of your journey. And we're going to really look at, what do you want the shape of your life to look like? You know, be really honest. How much do you need to earn? By when? How much time do you want to put in? What do you like doing? What don't you like doing? And then we can very quickly start to build a business case around this. And we'll be very quick to say, actually, I don't think this is going to be enough. Or, you know, this doesn't fit your skill set. I'm not sure this is right. But most often people come to that conclusion themselves, and it helps them to take their next informed decision. So it's a journey, you know, and you don't have to make any decisions until the very last minute, after you've done all your research and due diligence as to whether it's the right thing. So I think it's really helpful anyway, because it really consolidates in your mind, what do I want my life to look like, you know? And if you actually sit down and think about what your perfect structure looks like, I think you can achieve it. It's just very often we don't, do we? We just start on the treadmill and we just go from one thing to the next, and we can't see that there's another option. And so I think even the process of looking at something like this is really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever I career coach teachers, we always think about that as well. Like what's
Yeah.
good for them? Where are they going to thrive? And the question about reflecting on what you've done. Yes, you've been a teacher, but what bits did you enjoy from that? Because it's so multifaceted, and those can translate really well into a business. But you might need that support of the franchise. So you could do it yourself, but the support of the franchisor and that brand just helps kind of bolster the offering that you've got already within you, and then you can grow from there. So it's really important to know yourself and know your values as well, and understand that, and what, you know, how amazing they are, and what does that bring to the table, and like you say, going through that process, Sam, and at the end of it you can make an informed decision. That's got to be a winner, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think, it's not for everybody. So, and that's good to know. I mean, working for yourself, as you know, Katie, is like in one day you have the highs and the lows, and it feels like being in a bit of a surf situation where you get dumped on the sand, and then you get up, and then you're riding the wave. And some people really love that. I mean, for me, that excitement of not knowing what's going to happen every day is really exciting. Yeah, I like that. But it's not for everyone. So I think that's really good to know too. And so going through the process is really good. But you don't have to ever run a business or ever done anything like a franchise before to be really good at it. So that's the thing, because everything's in place. But I do think you need to have good people skills. You need to be really loving what you do and feel really passionate about it. And that's the main criteria, don't you think?
You can't teach that, can you? That's the thing, that anyone who's ever sort of taught a subject, the kids that are really engaged and really loving what you're doing, are passionate too about what you're saying, and yeah, you can find ways to engage the others, but it is about having that deep within you, isn't it? And I think that's the nice thing about then taking that passion into a business. It just makes you happy, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I still teach Tatty classes, and we use a character, which is over there, you probably can't see, like a doll, because I really firmly believe myself that there's too many adults in children's lives telling them what to do, and it doesn't really support self-regulation, decision-making, all those things. And so we very much take the adult out of the story, and we weave the stories through the eyes of Tatty Bumpkin. And that is also brilliant for an adult to re-access their inner child, their play, and you kind of get all the benefits as well. You also become much fitter, much healthier, because you're doing all the moves yourself. But it just, that sense of fun and that accessing your own inner child, you come out of the class and you just feel so joyful. Rather than, I know that teachers have often said, that all of that has been stripped out for lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
But this is an opportunity, if you love that side of interacting with young children, it's just very, powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, to sort of balance it out? What are the main things that teachers should really consider? What can be the sort of low points of running a business, do you think?
Yeah, I think fear of not having the safety net of the security, of the role. I think technology, you do need to be up to speed with using the different systems and, social media, because that's how you're going to do some of your promotion. So you have to kind of be sort of open to learning those kind of systems. But you're never too old. And you don't have to be super fit and super, in our case, super yogi at all. I think the biggest one really is the uncertainty. Do you thrive on trying to get more work? When you get a new contract, is that just so exciting? And it really, or do you get bogged down by anxiety and fear on earning money? And I think for some people that is a big consideration, because especially if they're the main income generator in their families, something like this might just be too overwhelming, because there's so much fear associated with it, because there is a bit of a time lag between buying a business and getting really established, obviously. So I think that's definitely something we try and talk through. But for example, I had a recent applicant, and she's a teacher, and she really wanted to do this, but it wasn't the right time. You know, she didn't feel secure enough in her home base and so forth. But then I got her to work as a teacher, and she started teaching, and within 3 weeks she was like, I've got to do this. You know, I want to buy the franchise now. So that was interesting, because it was a bit like a try before you buy.
Yeah.
Like, we definitely get better success if people have done it and felt it, if they've been a parent or they've seen it in a nursery school, or then they're much more likely to want to take the risk. So I think a try before you buy, or going to see a class, take your kid to a class, takes away some of that fear as well. But yeah, I think it's normal to feel fearful about running your own operation if you've already been in a structured environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think breaking down those barriers, like you say, I mean, you know, when you first step into the classroom, it's really scary. And you think, I'm never going to be able to do this, you know, and you're watching this amazing teacher with all these skills.
Yeah.
Very quickly, you realize you can do this, and you can, yeah. So I guess it's that sort of process, isn't it? So if they can get in and see a session, or take a niece and nephew or their own children to come along and visit, then they'll see the inner workings of it as well, and understand if it's a right fit for them. And I guess you have free trial sessions, don't you?
Well, we don't run very many parent-child classes, which is a little bit of an anomaly with us. And the reason for that is that all of our lesson plans are aligned to the national curriculum, so they have full links attached to the story plans, and that makes us kind of a very desirable offering in schools and nurseries. So it's a little bit harder we don't have hundreds of private classes running. We're mainly in schools and nurseries, so that doesn't make it a little bit harder to get in and see. But there's always that opportunity, and we have lots of videos and stuff. But yeah, we liken it to the forest. So we say that when you're looking at a new situation, this is very much how children learn. You know, there's a forest and it's like really dense, and you're really fearful. And we all feel like that, even if it's going to a different shop, or taking directions to a new location, or going to a party. Even as adults, we still get that, and that's like the forest. And then once you've been through the forest, made a tiny path, next time you go through, and the neural pathways in the brain get wider and wider till it's a motorway. So yeah, it's completely understandable that you've got the forest when you're thinking of leaving your permanent job or making that change. But I honestly, even if, you know, it doesn't work out, whatever the change is, I don't think I've ever met anyone who said, I regret making a change. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely. No one has ever said to me, no, that's it. I want to go back into that place where I was before. Even though that, you know, wasn't necessarily a bad place. But I love these sort of steps that we take, and these journeys that we go on, and you just learn so much. And I mean, I never thought about running a business. I only thought about being a teacher. And then when it happened, it just became quite organic. And then I found these like real, like you were saying, these moments of pure joy in what I'm doing when I'm helping people. And yeah, I do miss the classroom. I do miss working with children, but actually you can tick some of those boxes with other things, can't you? And your life can still be very fulfilling, and it's just nice. And I think the business will keep evolving, and I think yours will as well, won't it? You keep evolving and growing, and we'll learn more things about ourselves and about our products and services, and that's great too. So yeah, no one has ever said to me, no, I want to go back to that place where I was before.
Yeah, I mean, you know, change is always good, but change is the thing that we as humans fear the most. And so the more we put ourselves through change, the more we challenge ourselves, you know, even taking a different route to the shops or changing your routine, it's just so life affirming and builds your confidence. So I see that all the time. And our teachers, the franchisees we have who are teachers, make incredible franchisees because they know the language to speak to the customers, i.e. the nurseries and schools, and they just have such a wealth of knowledge to offer. I always feel a little bit guilty when we take on a teacher, because I feel like, oh no, you know, we need you in the schools teaching. But better we keep them in the sector and working with the kids and giving them what they need and building their confidence than to let them go elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with all the teachers that I speak to, it's not about leaving the classroom. It's about a next step for them personally. And if they've built those skills from teaching, that's amazing. So they should definitely go into the classroom, teach until they get to that point where they need a bit of a change for themselves. And that's okay. You know, it's absolutely fine to do that. And we should definitely encourage that. And I think perhaps the government should help them a little bit more with this. But until they do, I'll help. So it's
Sorry. No, I was
No,
just going to say, when you were saying that, I was thinking that, you know, sometimes people also maintain a level of freelance work alongside the franchise. Obviously, the more time you put into the franchise, the quicker it grows. So that's one of the key factors in success. But once you've got a really nicely established business, you've got your customers that are very loyal, you've got your teachers who are loyal, then you can start to, you know, do other things and either go back and do some, you know, supply teaching, or, you know, or go swimming, or whatever your passion is. So that's when it becomes that nice little passive income. You have a hard graft at the beginning, don't you? Lots of effort and laying the foundations, and then it starts to take off. And then, you know, for some of them, it could even become where you go back into teaching, but you run this along the side as you know, almost like a pension, or you know, that kind of thing. So
I love
I think
that, Sam. That's great. Yeah, I hadn't realized that actually. So that's really nice to hear.
yeah, I think, you know, people often ask, does it work for everyone? And I will say that is no such thing as a guaranteed anything. Like, you know, I can't say for sure. We've had franchises which have been super successful for 3 different people, and then the 4th person doesn't work. But I think the main factor is time put in, passion for the job, and passion for working for kids. And you know, and if you have all of that and you're not afraid to pick up the phone and go to a primary school or a nursery, I've got something that your kids will really benefit from. This is why, and I would love to show you. And so it's not really sales. It's just like, I really believe in this and I really want your kids to have the benefit. That's basically it. And the people who haven't really succeeded just haven't got that kind of connection with the schools and nurseries, and haven't picked up the phone, haven't, you know, really got involved with it. So, but that's all the process that we go through when we talk to people about potentially buying franchise. You know, we're very honest, because as you know, with franchising, it's worse for everybody if you take on someone who's not going to be successful. So
yeah, you want to have that relationship, and like you say, communication's key, and that good relationship is absolutely key, isn't it? It's fundamental. Running a business, especially like a customer facing business, you know, you have to be able to talk to people and communicate on a decent level. So this year, have you got any events or discovery days, or any places that you're going to be where teachers perhaps could come and see you, or have a chat?
Well, we're going to be at the franchise show. We've just launched a partnership with Computer Explorers to do more. They're going to be doing more of our franchise recruitment because they've got a really good team in place. And so we're going to be doing international franchise show. How I operate generally is I will engage with an inquirer on a personal level. So I will try and have a call with them, talk through their expectations, what their dreams are, and then I will do a personalised discovery session via Zoom. Mostly it's in the evening for teachers, obviously. And I'll show them a class, talk through the developmental aspects. And then we have a portal. So if people then want to go to the next step, then we start to talk about the figures and introduce, you know, how we would explore working out a simple business plan. We hold your hand all the way through. So if anyone's interested to find out more, just drop us a line, give us a call, and we take a very personalised approach. We used to do discovery sessions every month, but actually now I tend to do it according to people's, you know, timelines and needs, so that we can really help busy people to engage with us.
Yeah. That's good to hear. I'll put a link in the comments to your website so they can have a little look, and if they feel that it's the right fit for them, they can get in contact. And I do encourage you to do that. The more you know, the more information you have to sort of digest and think, is this the right step for you? And like Sam says, there's no hard sell with this. They need people that are passionate about what they do. And, you know, so it's a kind of a marriage, isn't it? Rather than a job.
100%. And I will emphasize that you don't need to be a yogi to do this. That was really an intentional decision on my part when I started. I want people who really love working with kids and can engage with them. Because if you do, then you're going to be able to impart any knowledge to them. So, you know, we teach like life skills, like how to relax, how to breathe, how to stretch your body, move it in all different ways, which all supports confidence and like learning in schools, of course. So don't feel like you don't have the right skill set. You just need to pick up the phone and start the conversation, really, and then it will have a natural life. It will either go all the way through and you'll be running your own business, or you'll change direction, go and do something else. But either way, it's great. Just make the change if you're even thinking about it. That's what I was.
Oh, that's wonderful. And lastly, have you got any exciting swimming competitions coming up?
Well, I've got the Kents coming up. So at the moment I've got in my age category, I'm the gold medal for the 200 backstroke. My stroke. So yeah, in May we've got the Kents. And yeah, so, but I don't take it too seriously, actually. It's a funny thing. So I've got friends who are really competitive. Now I am competitive, but not to the point. I'm a bit of a yogi. So if it hurts, I'll stop, because I figure that's my body telling me. So I am actually rising to the top just because I'm one of the last ones not injured. Because that's one of the philosophies that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't, when you're teaching, if you strain your voice, you can't actually deliver what you need to deliver. So you have to look after yourself and your well-being. So I think that's a lovely message.
That's what we teach kids as well, like if you're tired, that's okay. You can sit and watch, but we need to respect everyone in the room so that everyone can have a nice time, whatever they're doing. So that's our kind of message, and they really respond well to that, actually. And so I think a little bit of everything, and just taking joy in the small things that you achieve is really important too. So it's a yes until it's a no, and around the corner there's another yes, and you just don't know what's going to happen in any given moment, and to embrace that prospect of change.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Sam. I really appreciate it. It's great to speak to someone who's done so well out of just inspiring children, I think. And it's lovely to have these conversations. So thank you for your time. I'll definitely put a link in the chat so everyone can see where to get hold of you and to see some of the wonderful things you do, and even perhaps take your own children to them as well. Your own school might want to sign up and get Tatty Bumpkin in. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, thank you very much, Sam. Take care.
Thank you, Katie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.